Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, where we break down the biggest stories in the NFL with expert analysis, insider information, and a little bit of that edge that keeps you coming back for more. Today, we're diving deep into a major discussion that could shake up the entire NFC East. Will Stephen Jones's lightly aggressive approach in free agency impact the Cowboys' draft strategy? And in another bombshell twist, could Tyreek Hill be on the move once again, this time to the Dallas Cowboys or the Los Angeles Chargers? With the NFL draft looming, teams are working the phones, and things are heating up behind the scenes. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and let's get into it. For years, the Cowboys have operated in a very calculated manner in free agency, often opting to build through the draft rather than making splashy signings. But this offseason has been different. Stephen Jones, known for his measured and sometimes frustratingly conservative approach, has been described as a slightly aggressive this time around. Now, when we hear the word aggressive in NFL free agency, we usually think of teams like the Rams, Eagles, or even the Dolphins making blockbuster trades and handing out massive contracts. But for the Cowboys, slightly aggressive could be the shift that finally puts them over the top or ends up creating more questions than answers. Let's talk about what we've seen from Dallas so far this offseason. They've made moves to retain key players, but they've also shown a willingness to go after some outside help. However, the biggest story isn't necessarily who they've signed, but how their approach could affect their draft strategy. If the Cowboys are more aggressive in free agency, does that mean they will be more conservative in the draft? Or could it mean the exact opposite, that they're willing to make a big trade up to secure a game-changing player? This is where things get interesting, because Stephen Jones has already hinted that he's open to doing whatever it takes to make this team a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But what does that actually look like in action? Now, let's introduce another element into the conversation: Tyreek Hill. The Miami Dolphins have reportedly been exploring potential trade options for their superstar wide receiver, and two teams that have been linked to these discussions are the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers. Imagine for a second Tyreek Hill in a Cowboys uniform, playing alongside CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. That level of speed and explosiveness could turn Dak Prescott into an MVP candidate overnight. The idea alone is tantalizing. But let's break down the logistics. For Dallas to pull off a trade for Tyreek Hill, they'd have to be willing to part with some serious draft capital. Hill is still one of the top receivers in the league, and while Miami may be looking to clear up cap space, they're not going to give him away for cheap. The Cowboys currently hold the 24th pick in the first round, and that alone likely wouldn't be enough to land a player of Hill's caliber. Could Dallas package multiple picks, possibly including a future first-rounder, to get this done? And more importantly, should they? While adding Tyreek Hill would instantly make the Cowboys' offense one of the most explosive in the league, it would also change their draft strategy drastically. With a depleted draft pool, they'd have to focus on finding steals in the later rounds rather than adding immediate impact players in the first and second rounds. But maybe, just maybe, that's a gamble worth taking for a team that has been on the doorstep of greatness but can't seem to break through. Now, let's shift our attention to the other team in this conversation, the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is entering a crucial stage in his career. The Chargers have already made moves to shake up their offensive core, parting ways with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. If they were to add Tyreek Hill, it would send a clear message to the rest of the AFC West that they're going all in. But just like with the Cowboys, the question remains, at what cost? The Chargers hold the 5th overall pick, and while it's unlikely they'd move that for Hill, they do have additional assets that could make a deal work. For the Dolphins, this decision will come down to what they value more: financial flexibility or retaining one of the most dynamic playmakers in the game. If Miami decides that shedding Tyreek Hill's contract is the best move for their long-term success, expect teams like Dallas and Los Angeles to be in the mix until the very last moment. Now, going back to the Cowboys' draft strategy, let's assume they don't pull off a blockbuster trade for Hill. Where do they go from here? With Stephen Jones taking a more aggressive approach this offseason, it suggests that Dallas could be open to moving up in the draft for a player they truly believe in. One of the biggest needs for the Cowboys remains along the offensive line. Protecting Dak Prescott and opening up lanes for the running game has to be a top priority. Could they make a move for one of the elite offensive tackles in this class? Guys like Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu would immediately upgrade their protection. Then, there's the defensive side of the ball. Dan Quinn may be gone, but this Cowboys defense is still one of the best in the league. That being said, they need reinforcements. If a player like Terrion Arnold or Quinion Mitchell falls into their range, Dallas could pull the trigger and solidify their secondary. And let's not forget about the pass rush. Micah Parsons is a generational talent, but he can't do it alone. If the Cowboys see an opportunity to grab another elite pass rusher, don't be surprised if they make a bold move. One more thing to consider is the running back position. Tony Pollard is gone, and while the Cowboys have been linked to veteran options, they could look to the draft to find their next lead back. If they trade back in the first round or target a running back on day 2, someone like Trey Benson or Blake Corum could be an intriguing option. So where does that leave us? The Cowboys are at a crossroads. Stephen Jones has already shown that he's willing to be more aggressive this offseason, and that could mean big things for the draft. Whether they trade up for a blue-chip talent, make a shocking move for Tyreek Hill, or stay put and build through the draft as they traditionally do, one thing is for certain: Dallas is going to be a team to watch when the NFL draft rolls around. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. How will Cowboys fans react to this? Losing a big-name player is never easy, especially when it's someone who has been a fan favorite and a key contributor on the field. But this move suggests that the Cowboys front office has a plan. It's easy to get caught up in the shock of the moment, but sometimes the most unexpected moves turn out to be the smartest ones in the long run. And as always, we'll be here breaking it all down for you. So what do you think? Should the Cowboys go all in on Tyreek Hill? Should they trade up for a game changer in the draft? Or should they stick to their usual philosophy and build for the long term? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest NFL news and analysis. We'll see you next time.